Hello everybody. Today I'm finally going to be doing the depression video that I was talking about. Now if you haven't seen my previous video where I briefly spoke about it, um, I have not had depression. I have been dealing with depression but in a different way. A close friend of mine has been diagnosed with depression, and though they are recovering a lot now, at the time it was quite serious, and I'm going to share that story of how it sort of all built up and what the problem actually was. The video is called Dealing with Depression, but it's not from a first person point of view, if you know what I mean. It's not about me dealing with depression. It's about third parties helping someone else. This is literally what my story is going to be. I've had confirmation that I can use this story, but so you don't have to worry about me spreading personal details or anything. Obviously, I'm not going to use names, but it's just going to be a story about what happened and how I was able to help the situation. I'm simply going to get into it, but to start off with, I just want to put a couple of things out there that prior to the story, I did a year at sixth form, and then I moved to a different college to do a separate course. But these two colleges, sixth form, they were both in the same town, so that's sort of you'll see why that's relevant anyway. But simply, I'm just going to start. So I woke up one morning and my mum's car wouldn't start, so she asked to use mine because I'm such a new driver still. I'm on their insurance, so she's able to, drive mine legally. And so I used to for my first year of sixth form, I used to have to get the train into town. So I just have to be dropped off at the station, and she can drive to work. So she dropped me off at the station. Obviously, I went through the day, did all my work and everything. I got a later train back because I stayed behind and did some work at college just to catch up. And I walked back through town to get the train home, where I was going to be picked up from the station. And I saw this girl arguing with, well, I guess she was arguing with one of the barrier guards, because the town I go to college in, they have barriers, so you can't get through to the train station unless you put your ticket through. And I didn't know who she was at the time, but she seemed to be very distressed and upset. I didn't really know what was going on, but she was having, I guess, she wasn't really arguing, she was more pleading with the ticket barrier guard. So I sort of didn't want to put my nose into it, if you know what I mean. I didn't want to go into someone else's business, but I could see she was upset, and I went through and simply just asked, what the problem was, if everything's okay. I didn't know whether he was harassing her or something like that, because I didn't know what the argument was about. And it simply turned out that she had forgotten her ticket, which is like, an annual ticket, so you can use it whenever. But she had forgotten this, so she couldn't get through the barrier back home. Whether she left it at college, I'm not sure. I never found that out. But so she couldn't actually get through, and so she couldn't get home because she had no money. So I offered to pay for this ticket, even though I just thought it's not much. It was probably about £5, so I just paid for this ticket, and that was that really. I didn't see her for the rest of the day. She just thanked me and then got on the train, and I went home sort of like a normal day. About a week passed, and I saw her in town, and she looked fairly upset. I didn't really she was upset. She was crying, walking down the high street, and I didn't, because I hadn't really spoken to her. If I'd spoken to her on Facebook or something, or texted her, I might have stopped her and asked what was wrong. I probably should have done at the time, looking back, but she was upset. She didn't know what to do. She was with a couple of her friends, so that wasn't the worst thing. She still had some people to talk to, but I sort of not made a mental note, but remembered that she was upset just in case I bumped into her again, so I could just ask her if everything was alright. So I had to get the train again that day because my mum's car was still being repaired, so she was using mine. And I saw her on the train. She wasn't with anyone. She looked alright this time, but she actually came over and sat by me and asked if she could add me on Facebook for whatever reason. And I said, yeah, that's fine. And then we just spoke about sort of schoolwork. We didn't really speak about anything personal. I'm just giving these mine details just so you got some context to the story. But yeah, we started speaking, and then that night she started messaging me on Facebook for whatever reason. And we were talking for about an hour or so, just normally. And she simply said, do you mind if I talk to you about something a bit more personal? I know I don't know you very well, and it's probably going to creep you out, but it's quite important, and I think if I get sort of, an outside look at it, then I'll be able to sort of get a bit more clarity, feel a bit better about it. So, I think that's fine. I don't mind at all helping people out. So I said, that's fine. And she was saying how when I saw her in town the other day, she had just broken up with her boyfriend. And the trouble with her was her friends that she sort of hung around with at school, she actually they were all friends with her boyfriend. She met them through her boyfriend, and she didn't have any other friends at that college. So really, when she broke up with her boyfriend, she couldn't hang around with them anymore because her ex-boyfriend was sort of best friends with them. So she didn't really have any friends. She was just a bit upset about it, really. She just didn't know what to do. I suggested, just meeting people. This was already halfway through the year, keep in mind, so she would obviously know people from her classes. But, going into town with them a couple of times or something, it's sort of easy to adapt to a certain group. So, though it's halfway through the year, it's still possible, just to join friends, stuff. It's yeah, I think you know what I mean. And she said thank you and everything, and that was that. Didn't hear from her for a couple of weeks, until she spoke to me, I'd say probably about a week later, and this whole time she was just talking the whole night. We spoke for quite a while that evening, and she asked to meet up with me. So that's what I did. I met up with her in town. We just went to Starbucks or whatever, and she started crying. Now this is sort of difficult for me because I don't know what when people start crying around me, I don't really know how to react. I don't know how to comfort people. I'm a bit like Sheldon from Big Bang Theory. I'm fine over messages and stuff. I can comfort people quite well, but if it's in person, I don't break down, but I find it awkward and I don't know what to say, which probably doesn't make things very easy. But she started crying. There weren't many people in because we were on a free period, so other people were at college or work. So and simply, I stayed silent the whole time, and she just sort of was crying, saying how she didn't have any friends, how recently her dog was put down and her dad was actually diagnosed with cancer, so it was a bit of a stressful time. And all this stuff piled up. She was busy with schoolwork as well, and at this point she probably wasn't depressed, but she was really upset. She was, crying in a public place. I didn't know how to react, and it was just a bit awkward, because I was trying to comfort her, but obviously anything I said didn't really comfort her. You know, being told that your dad has cancer, your dog was recently put down, and everything, all this stress was just building up on her, and it was sort of taking its toll there. And then it didn't sort of break her over time. It all piled up at the same time, which just dropped on her, which was quite bad, really. But I kept texting her to make sure she was okay. After that, you know, every day I was just making sure, just texting her saying, you know, is everything all right? How are you feeling? And progressively, she got worse and worse as time gone on. You know, she originally was, you know, upset about it, but as time went on, she got worse and worse, and I didn't know what else to do. My mum works as a school nurse, so she goes around to all the schools working with, you know, mental health, sexual health, that sort of thing. And I did not know what to do, so I spoke to my mum about the situation, and she had got a social worker to help. Now, she wasn't too happy with this, like the girl I was helping, but she had at that point been diagnosed with depression. She had gone to, I can't remember, it wasn't a doctor, but it was some sort of mental health specialist. But you know, her parents had sort of noticed the pattern of behaviour she was having, and you know, they'd taken her to a place, and she'd actually been diagnosed with depression, which is obviously awful for her. At this point, I knew I had to do something, so that's when I stepped in and sort of got external help, because I did speak to her about getting external help, but you know, she didn't like the idea of it. Yet it was the best thing she probably could have done, because you know, they're experts in the field. So she spoke to this social worker for a few weeks, yet she didn't really improve. So I did sort of everything I could to help her. You know, I sort of just small things that would cheer someone up. You know, not you know, it's not rocket science. I didn't have to. You know, it's difficult to explain because I don't want to offend anyone, but it's obviously I wasn't trying to cure her depression, if you can say cure, get rid of her depression. I was just sort of trying to make her smile, that sort of thing, but not in a flirty or romantic way, just in a way that was sort of, you know, brighten up your day. So I'd send her a message in the morning, before she woke up, just saying, you know, I hope everything's okay, you're gonna have a great day today, everything, you know, I know you're gonna find some friends today, you're gonna make a new group and everything. It wasn't necessarily a romantic thing as someone may see it. You know, I wasn't texting her every morning saying good morning beautiful or something like that. It was simply just, I guess, motivational texts, and it's just small additional things like that. You know, I kept meeting up with her. She even came to my house a few times, not as anything, you know, not as a relationship type. We were just friends, but I was trying to help her as much as I could. So it's the small things that add up. I don't think the way to deal with this from an external point of view is one big thing. You know, don't buy them something expensive or something. It's just small little actions that just brighten up people's day, that actually sort of, though it doesn't help, you know, cure things as a whole, it's just keeps them going. You know, I didn't want her to get worse, obviously. She wasn't suicidal, she was just depressed, which obviously are two completely different things. And slowly she did, well, I guess with these small texts and stuff, it obviously stopped her getting worse. She may have maintained the depression that she had, but she slowly actually did start recovering, she's not completely recovered yet, but it's I don't know how to say it really. It's a bit of a touchy subject, so it's a bit hard for me to talk about. But I feel personally, small things like small gifts or just these things that you can say that obviously won't help completely in the long run. Well, I guess they will help in the long run, but they won't help instantly. They'll just slowly build up sort of an opposite to the stress. It's difficult for me to talk about. I'll try and give an example. Say, if you've ever seen The Office, the US Office, this is probably a really poor example, but he keeps putting nickels in the phone slowly over time, and he takes all the nickels out and then he hits himself in the head with the phone just because of the weight difference. Pretty bad example, but if you keep adding all these things up, like the small gifts, just morning texts just to say good luck, these motivational things, these just meeting up, making sure you're there for them is probably the most important thing, because obviously they add up. And if they're taken away suddenly, like you're suddenly not there for them, it's going to be quite hard because they may start to rely on you. And I believe it's alright to be relied on. I think it's okay. Others may disagree with me. They probably will, in fact. That someone relying on you is probably not the best thing. They should be able to help yourself. But I think with something with like depression, you shouldn't have to go through it alone. I think someone needs to be there for you. Otherwise, it makes the whole thing so much harder. And that's just simply the attitude I had. I made sure I was there for her. Obviously, I'm still there for her now. So it's not like I've suddenly stopped, even though she's recovered a lot. If I was suddenly to just stop talking to her and everything like that. Obviously, we're really close friends now, so I wouldn't do that anyway. But if I were, then I'd worry that it would just, she'd just downhill again. So all I'm saying really is to help someone from an external point of view, you've got to be there for them in the short term. Well, putting it bluntly, I'm sure you probably already knew that, but it's not just being there for them. It's constantly having the ability to sort of care for them. It's really difficult to put into words, because obviously I haven't scripted this. I wanted it sort of to come straight as I see it. But I think it's best for you to, be relied on. Not necessarily, it doesn't have to be just you, it could be another person as well. But as long as you're there for them and you don't sort of, not necessarily mess them around, but you don't fail them, I guess you could say fail them, then I think everything will be okay. You just have to slowly see effects. You won't see changes instantly, but you may slowly see them recovering, which is what's happened to me. It's been over probably a couple of months that this has been occurring, so it's not like it happens straight away. You see effects slowly, if you know what I mean. So it's probably been a bit of a weird video, it's been difficult for me to talk about, obviously, because it's such a touchy subject for some. Obviously there are people with depression that will probably be watching this video, which I advise, try and find someone that you can talk to. It may be one of your close friends already, but as long as you're able to talk to them about anything, you're not afraid that they will, I guess, not be unfaithful, but you're not afraid that they will, I don't know the word, just they won't let you down, sort of thing.